I grew up in Chicago, starting out in the Woodlawn area, then the Englewood area, and took art classes in school. But then there was what they called a junior school on Saturdays and in the summers at the School of the Art Institute. It was a fair amount of time before I started to do large-scale things. I started out, as a matter of fact, making a little thing, showing them at art fairs.
I live and work in the city of Chicago. I have a daughter whose name is Cecilia, and a lot of our experiences together, well, are just experiencing things, nature, experiencing works of art, the experience of just doing things together and so sharing one another's reactions. I mean, that's, I think, an important kind of parent-child relationship. See that cactus over there?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That kind of, that kind of form is something, I'm really interested in terms of my sculpture. A lot of the forms are like maybe either wing forms or leaf forms. Sometimes they're kind of like animal forms as well as sort of vegetable or plant forms. Look at the way they come out of one another in all different angles.
My first major work was the guy Walter Netsch, who was one of the principal architects with Skidmore and Merrill, and was a collector too. So he early on got some of my sculpture. The grandson of Ida B. Wells, who was a structural engineer with Skidmore and Merrill, that Walter Netsch said, "I want you to help, Richard, with the foundation for the piece." I started to develop a career at a time when there were more opportunities developed, and there was an interest developing too in Chicago of having some more contemporary sculpture placed in one place and another. The idea that architects were collaborating with artists, like bringing Calder to the Federal Building, but it affected the thought of buildings, parks, whatever, having sculpture that was contemporary associated with them. I've developed an approach that involves welding various metals together to make works of what you might call public size and to relate to whatever situation, depending on what it is, where it is, who's commissioning it, and letting it grow according to how these interactions unfold. Yeah, and then of course sometimes I'll do a fairly large sculpture, just on my own, and somebody might come in and say, "Oh, that might go there." I mean, there are various times when things get to be public, that weren't commissioned directly for a space, but somebody thought it would work well there.